too many of them. We're not gonna make it.
You're right, we aren't.
Welcome to LETSEE Universe, back again with me Liam, who this time will present the film you have been waiting for, namely Fast and Furious 10, aka Fast X, which will be released in 2023. Fast X is set 10 years after the film Fast 5, and will tell you about the revenge of Hernan Reyes' son on Dominic Toretto and friends. Still the same as the previous films, Fast X also features reckless action and bomb explosions everywhere, which are guaranteed to be very adrenaline. However, as usual, before we start what happened in the film this time, I warn you that this video contains spoilers, but if you don't care about spoilers, then just watch our discussion this time. Fast X.
Here we go.
The film opens with a flashback, which happened 10 years ago, where a mafia named Hernan Reyes was still victorious in Brazil, a mafia who had a child who was convicted of mental disorders, and had been in a mental hospital. He is Dante Reyes. Here, Hernan Reyes invites his son to make Dominic Toretto and his friends suffer a lot, because they have damaged their business.
Guest houses, and they let this Dominic Toretto burn them. You'd show them mercy.
As told in the movie Fast 5, Hernan Reyes is the ruler in Brazil. He even kept his giant safe at the police station, but this was destroyed by Dom's team who worked with FBI agents, namely Luke Hobbs. Without wasting any time, they barged into the police station and stole Hernan's safe.
Don't let on the coffee. Okay. Coffee.
Hernan was furious, and immediately mobilized his troops to catch Dom and his team. But of course Dom was not easy to chase, because he had modified his car with the fastest nose in the world. Not only that, Dom also has God-level skills to paralyze his enemies. He doesn't need to use automatic weapons or bombs, he just needs to drift with his car, to make Dante plunge into the river and make his father die on the spot. 10 years later, Dom is seen in a field, where he trains his son named Little B to be fast like him.
You had it.
Then Dom and his son returned home, where his team had gathered there. There were Tej, Roman, Han and also Ramsey who were waiting. Not only them, Letty and Mia were also there with Dom's mother. They purposely gathered for lunch together while listening to advice from Dom's mother. After eating, Dom's squad talked about the new mission from the agency, where they have to steal a very dangerous military weapon in the city of Rome. In this mission Dom and Letty will not participate, because they have to look after their children at home. Therefore the mission will be led by Roman, who is accompanied by Roman, Tej and Ramsey.
What's this legit? We're talking about Rome. Roman. Come on, man.
On the other hand, Dom begins to feel afraid that his beloved family will be in danger, because his work has made him have many enemies, but Dom is also lucky because he has a mother who can always calm him down.
Hold us in your heart.
Apart from that, of course, Dom also has a wife like Letty, who loves him very much. When Dom starts to doubt and fear, Letty will support him, especially since they have been together for 20 years. A few moments later, they suddenly had an uninvited guest, and the guest was Cypher, who was the most dangerous terrorist, as well as Dom's great enemy. Not only an ordinary enemy, Cypher also kills Dom's ex-girlfriend, Elena, but Cypher looked seriously injured and wanted to convey something to Dom and Letty. He was finally invited to enter, then while at gunpoint by Letty, Cypher told what really happened.
I met the devil tonight.
That night, Cypher's headquarters was broken into by Dante, who came alone. This crazy man wanted to invite Chappé to work together to kill Dom and his friends, but Cypher didn't like the way he was doing it. Moreover, Dante had taken the families of Cypher's men hostage, so they all betrayed him.
To watch who you love most die.
You're looking at who I love most.
Then Dante took a Chappé's technological device, and ordered his new men to finish off the terrorist. Even though Cypher was beaten, he managed to beat them all, and that was the reason he met Dom and Letty. He wanted to tell them that Dante was a very scary demon. The next day, Dom handed over the cipher to Little Nobody, who was the best agent in the agency. Then this agent asked where Han and friends were. Dom said that they were in Rome, and working for the agency, but Little Nobody had never given them any missions. Here Dom and Letty realized that their men had been trapped by Dante. The two of them prepared to go to Rome.
In Rome?
It's a setup.
At the same time, Roman and the others are carrying out their usual missions. Roman and Tej are on duty speeding on the streets, while Tej and Ramsey are responsible for hacking the system and hijacking a military truck filled with dangerous weapons.
We'd already be there if Roman wasn't driving Ford Knox on wheels. This car is sick.
But unfortunately, the truck that was hijacked by Tej and Ramsey was hacked by Dante. Even the two trucks behind them were deliberately blown up to give a warning. Tej and Ramsey were shocked, after knowing that there was a giant bomb in the truck they were riding in. On the other hand, Dom and Letty just arrived at the scene of the incident, and without wasting much time they tried to stop the truck, but Dante did not want to be outdone. He decided to release a giant bomb on the street by rolling over the truck. While Dom and Letty stop the bomb, Han and the others flee from the police, taking a shortcut through a tunnel. Meanwhile, Dante finally intervenes himself to distract Dom and Letty, so they can't stop the bomb. And while chasing each other with Letty, Dante had planted a bomb in Little Nobody's car. Luckily he was able to get out of the car before the bomb exploded. On the other hand, Ramsey is trying to turn off the giant bomb detonator by hacking the system, while Letty is still trying to stop Dante, who is getting crazier. Failing to level the system, Ramsey suggests that Dom dribble the giant bomb towards the river, so that the explosion doesn't kill anyone. At the same time Letty could no longer chase Dante, because he was caught by the local police. And after escaping Letty's pursuit, Dante activated his giant bomb, which meant that Dom only had 30 seconds to send the bomb into the river. Lucky Dom dropped the giant bomb into the river.
5, 3, 1.
Because of the bomb explosion, Dom and his friends are now fugitives because they are considered a terrorist group, even though it was all Dante's doing.
Dominic Toretto.
Even the news about Dom and his friends was finally heard by Ames, who is now leading the agency after Mr. Nobody disappeared. Unlike his predecessor, Ames really hated Dom's squad. He even planned to catch and kill them, even though Dom had contributed a lot to the agency. Therefore, Mr. Nobody's daughter named Tess persuaded Ames to discourage him, but this man did not want to listen to Tess's advice.
We should be standing with Dom and his family. That is the very least that we...
I'm asking for full green light authority.
Tess, who didn't agree, finally chose to help Dom and his friends. At the same time, Dom now had to fight alone after Letty was arrested by the police, while the rest of his team had to hide. Fortunately they were assisted by Magdalene, the mother of the show's sisters, who completely on Dom's side, besides that she is the most dangerous mother in the previous films. Here, Magdalene advises Dom not to trust other people easily. Elsewhere, Ames is already on board to carry out the operation to capture Dom. He has also sent troops to kidnap Little B and Dom's sister, Mia Toretto.
We find him, find his family.
At Dom's house, Mia immediately protects Little B by fighting the Ames troops. Luckily she gets help from Jacob Toretto, who is the older brother of the two. Thanks to Jacob and Mia's brutality, all the Ames troops were able to be slaughtered. After that, Jacob told Mia to stay safe, while he would protect Little B.
That's okay with you.
Protect him with your life.
Meanwhile, Tess was in Naples meeting with Dom at a bar, but she was suddenly approached by several people who wanted to attack her, and this woman immediately beat them up. After being brutalized, Tess was finally able to meet Dom. Here Tess told him that Dante had returned to Brazil. He tracked him with his father's technology, namely God Eyes. But before leaving, Dom asked for help from the Tess to get Letty out of prison. Tess also wanted to help him, but it took quite a long time, because Letty was in prison in a very heavily guarded place.
Nothing's impossible.
Without wasting time, Tess immediately visited the prison that locked up Letty. In this place, Tess could only move her from the cell to the medical room. The rest Letty had to find her own way to be moved. Tess had to injure Letty's body and pretend to fight with her. At the same time, Han, Roman and Ramsey had just arrived in London. Now they had to find a way to meet Dom. The next night Dom arrived in Brazil. He then met his old friend named Diogo. He also met a beautiful racer, namely Isabel Neves, who is Alina's younger sister, but here Isabel doesn't know who Dom really is.
Look around you. We're all looking for a little validation.
Then not long after, Dante came to that place. He also suspected that Dom would be looking for him. After the small talk, Dante also invited him to race the car, and if he refused, then Dante will order his men to shoot fire with Diogo's men. Like it or not, Dom must accept the challenge.
Let's race!
Not only Dom, Diogo and Isabel also took part in this race, but after being on the starting line, Dom began to get suspicious of Dante's movements because the crazy man gave a code to his crew, even so the race was still being held. As the race progresses, Dom becomes increasingly suspicious of Dante, and sure enough, Diogo and Isabel have been cheated. Dante deliberately plants a bomb under their car. Like it or not, Dom has to choose between helping Diogo or Isabel, and Dom is forced to save Isabel, thus Diogo's car is blown up. The day after the race, Dante kills some people and then preserves them, and for having lived in a psychiatric hospital, Dante invites the corpses to chat. Then he opens his laptop and starts hacking into Dom's accounts to steal all his money.
Thank you for listening.
So mi casa, su casa.
On the other hand, Letty has been moved to the medical room as Tess wanted, but Letty is not alone, because Cypher is also being treated there. Moments later, the Cypher secretly activates the ventilation system, which causes the guards as well as the doctor to inhale poison gas and then faint instantly. Cypher also removed the handcuffs from Letty's hands, even though they used to be enemies. Now Cypher has to work with Letty because their enemies are the same, but they have to pretend to fight to trick the supervisors, and even though it's just a play, Letty still beats Cypher with all her might. Meanwhile, Han and his friends are still trapped in London. They haven't found a solution to be able to meet with Dom. Moreover, the money in their account has been taken by Dante, but at least Roman still has a lot of money hidden under his jacket.
Hey, Roman, what are you doing?
Because they still have money, Han and his friends go to an internet cafe that Ramsey used to subscribe to. Here they will order combat equipment. Through Ramsey's acquaintance named Bowie, the equipment will be used to defeat Dante. But during transactions, Tej and Roman always have different opinions, so they end up fighting in an internet cafe.
Gentlemen, please!
Gradually, Ramsey got fed up with this struggle. He immediately separated them and told Bowie to immediately place an order. Unfortunately, Bowie betrayed, and has reported their location to Ames. Ramsey was angry and immediately beat him.
On me, okay?
At the same time, Jacob intends to take Little B to his hideout in Portugal, but he has to make a fake passport first, so as not to be detected by Ames and his men. But what Jacob didn't realize, the airport's CCTV had been watched by Ames' men.
Hacker we've ever used. Money talks, and so will they.
And sure enough, the two of them were followed into the plane. Luckily, Jacob was able to beat them all. Besides that, he also got help from his flight attendant friends to help him get out of the plane. Jacob has also prepared his flying boat, which will be used to jump from the sky.
Enjoy the ride, Little B!
Switching again to Brazil, where Isabel already knows Dom's identity. They both reminisced about the figure of Elena, who was a great police officer. Then Isabel suddenly remembered that her sister had left files about the Reyes family.
Dante Reyes.
From these files, Dom finally found out that Dante was still the owner of the police station building he had robbed 10 years ago. For that, Dom planned to go there and find out more about Dante. Unfortunately, he was followed by Ames, who was in Brazil, but this burly man was hindered by several people, and he couldn't help but have to fight with them.
Want to take a look?
Long story short, Dom arrived at the police station building owned by Dante, where Dom saw screens on all the walls of the room that displayed photos of his family. Here he realized that Dante had been stalking his family for 10 years. Then Dom got a call from Dante, who threatening to make her suffer even more. And sure enough, not long after that, Ames and his men came to surround Dom. Unarmed Dom was forced to surrender. In the security car, Dom was just silent while listening to Ames' chatter. Then Dom fastened his seat belt, because he knew Dante would definitely attack the car he was driving, and sure enough, a rocket suddenly shot towards the car. Then a battle ensued between Ames' troops and Dante's troops. Ames finally gave weapons to Dom, so that his troops are not overwhelmed by the madman, while Dom, he had to save Isabel, who was held hostage by Dante. Luckily, Tess arrived on time, and immediately lowered her weapon towards Dante. As a result, Dante gave in and handed Isabel over. Then Dom brutalized her so that her gold teeth broke in two. For not being able to beat him, Dante orders his men to shoot Tess, Ames, and also Isabel, which keeps Dom from hitting Dante again.
Can't save them all. 5, 4.
While fending off a helicopter attack, Dante approached Tess and took his God's Eye, and with this technology Dante was able to track the location of Jacob and Little B, and then he went by helicopter. At this time Dom could only surrender. He then ordered Isabel to take Tess to the hospital, while he would join Ames to save his child and also Jacob.
So let me do you one better. Let's get your son.
On the other hand, Han and the others decided to ask Deckard Shaw for help, a former special force who had once been Han's enemy. Without further ado, Shaw immediately asked for a duel with Han, but that didn't last long because Ames' men suddenly barged into Deckard's headquarters. As a result, Han and Deckard decide to work together in order to defeat them. After slaughtering Ames' men, Deckard Shaw agreed to help Han and friends. Moreover, his mother, Magdalene, was also Dante's target. As a mama's child, of course, Deckard would not stay silent. He immediately prepared his weapon and was going to go alone, while Han and the other will be picked up in his fighter plane. Long story short, they are already on a fighter plane, which is going to Portugal. Here Tej and Roman reconcile, while Ramsey looks uneasy, because he is the one who created the God's Eye technology for the agency, but at this time the technology was misused by Dante to put Little B's life in danger.
Hurting the people we love.
At the same time Dante and his troops had arrived in Portugal, they also knew Jacob and Little B's hiding place. Without wasting time, Jacob immediately took Little B out of that place with his combat car. Thanks to the combat car, Jacob was able to destroy Dante's men and their car, but unfortunately the weapon in his combat car suddenly jammed, so he could only rely on the car's speed to avoid Dante. On the other hand, Ames' plane has arrived in Portugal, but he hasn't found a place to land yet, and because his child is in danger, Dom is desperate to jump from the plane with his sophisticated car. Because of Dom's help, Jacob felt a little relieved. Even though his gun was jammed, Little B suddenly got out of the car and repaired the gun in Jacob's car, and Dante used that to catch Little B. Because of that, Jacob also felt guilty for Dom. He finally decided to sacrifice himself. Moreover, the gas tank was leaking, and all he could do was block Dante's troops so that Dom could save his son. Before sacrificing himself, Jacob had said goodbye to his brother. After Jacob died, Dom was intercepted by 2 helicopters that were about to throw his car into the river, but thanks to his driving skills, Dom was able to make the helicopters collide with each other. Then Dom chased Dante and convinced Little B to jump from his car. The boy bravely did his father's orders. And now what Dom needs to do is go to the air base and return to America with Ames, but unfortunately he was intercepted by 2 explosive cars that had been prepared by Dante. Not only that, Han Dan friends who had just arrived were also hit by the trap, their plane was shot from a long distance, until it fell into the valley. And unexpectedly the one who shot the plane was Ames himself. It turns out that he and Dante have been working together since 10 years ago. This also makes Dom's position even more cornered, but as long as he still has a car, he can do anything. Dom then jumped into the river when the explosives car was about to hit him. Luckily Dom and Little B fell right in the deep part of the river, so they were still able to survive. At the same time Letty and Cypher managed to escape from prison, which turned out to be in Antarctica. Then they went somewhere and found a submarine. A few moments later someone appeared from the ship, and that person was Giselle, i.e. one of Dom's squad who was thought to be dead. Besides the appearance of Giselle, at the end of the film Luke Hobbs is seen carrying out an FBI operation. At the scene of the incident Hobbs finds a cell phone that rings, he picks it up, and unexpectedly the person calling is Hernan Reyes. He is still alive because he was saved by the Hobbs so he could be imprisoned, and this time Hernan will rise again to take revenge on the Hobbs.
Some bitch.
The film ends with a hanging ending and will be continued in the next sequel. This film teaches us that family is the most valuable treasure and family cannot be limited by blood relations. That's all for today. I'm Liam, thank you, and don't forget to press the subscribe, like, and comment buttons.
But I won't back down.